Welcome to Popcorn History with the Freeborn County Historical Museum, Library, and Village. I'm Stephanie Kibler, Executive Director at the museum, along with Risha Lilienthal, Coordinator of Collections and Exhibits, and Reggie Bauer, Power 96 Operation Manager. And he's our Operations Manager, at least for the next two podcasts.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have had Hotdish on the brain.
Yeah?
All week. It's the craziest thing. I don't know why. Actually, longer, because it came up in the staff meeting last week.
Yeah.
So I've incorporated Hotdish into all kinds of things over the next year.
Oh, yeah, I know why. Okay, gotcha.
Cheeseballing.
Yep.
I'm just totally going cheeseball. So when we started talking popcorn history, I'm like, Hotdish.
Immediately.
That's just what I've been thinking about. And maybe I just need to make a tater tot hot dish and just knock it out of my system. But there's rules to hot dish, which I will get into.
Hotdish has rules?
There's rules. It's what makes it different from a casserole, because there is a difference.
If it's within the borders of Minnesota, it's a hot dish.
But there's a reason.
Oh.
So the documentary, Minnesota Hot Dish, A Love Story, speculates the Great Depression secured hot dish as a food staple and effective, affordable way of feeding entire families with canned food and limited meat. The word hot dish was first used in a 1930 Minnesota cookbook published by Grace Lutheran Ladies' Aid. And this landmark recipe called for hamburger meat, onions, celery, canned peas, canned tomato soup, and cremettes, Minnesota macaroni.
Huh.
All to be stirred together and baked. So that was the first hot dish recipe ever published.
Wow.
Ever in Minnesota.
Probably ever.
Ever.
Probably
I
ever.
don't know how to say
but
that.
At least
it
for
was
sure
published
in Minnesota.
So, what is a hot dish? So it's anything goes when you're doing a hot dish. And Minnesota and North Dakota apparently are the states for the hot dish.
Okay.
I didn't realize North Dakota was in with us on that.
That makes sense. My mom's from North Dakota, and she makes a lot of hot dish, and I think she probably grew up on that, too.
Okay. I didn't realize that.
I mean, it might as well be Minnesota, because it's along the state border, but still.
Right. Just absorb it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a whole
Permeated into North Dakota.
whole other ball of yarn. I just see a tangled mess there. I don't know. So, the components to a hot dish: a starch, a protein, and a vegetable. That's it. A starch, protein, veggies.
Really?
The rest of the country refers to this as a casserole. But all hot dishes are not casseroles,
I mean,
right?
the rest of the country also calls it duck, duck, goose, but...
Right?
Well, that's the correct way, so...
Duck,
Excuse you.
Gray duck.
No.
Now you know who's a real Minnesotan and who isn't.
I'm a Hoosier.
You want to come over, and I've got some gray duck vodka in my fridge right now.
Okay, I mean, that's
You don't have any goose?
I do not have any gray goose vodka.
My goodness. It's not a gray goose, but continue.
Well, wait a minute. Gray goose is a vodka.
Yeah, it is. No, yeah.
True.
There's
Whatever.
Anyway, we've digressed.
Yeah.
So previously in 1910s, American dish, the hot dish was called hot pot.
Hot pot.
Oh.
And that's according to the Hot Dish documentary. World War I marked a pivotal moment for American casseroles and thrifty one-dish meals with the onset of the U.S. Food Administration's Food Will Win the War campaign.
Oh.
The home front war effort called for families to conserve food so surplus food could be shipped overseas to feed soldiers and combat famine. The Food Administration published recipes for meatless Mondays and wheatless Wednesdays, which I remember from doing the World War I exhibit during their anniversary a few years back. And casseroles and hot pot soon became a popular method of stretching a pound of meat for a whole family's dinner.
Huh. That makes sense.
Yeah. That's smart.
Now, the tater tot kind of changed how people did the hot dish.
Changed the
Very
game.
Minnesota.
Changed the game, that Orida. In 1956, Midwestern cooks started covering their hot dishes with a layer of crispy tater tots or la choy chow mein noodles, potato chips, or fried onions. You know those crispy fried onions that you put on the green bean casserole? Because
Is it to add a crunch
isn't that interesting?
or what?
So it's a green bean casserole here. It's not a green bean hot dish.
Yeah.
I don't really hang out around green beans.
Reggie and green beans don't mix.
We do not.
I thought this was kind of funny because a North Dakota transplant and food blogger, Molly Ye, wrote, if you were to place hot dish recipes on an XY chart where X equals how much it looks like barf and Y equals how delicious it is, they would be maxed out on both accounts. That's the charm of a hot dish.
There you go.
Now, one of the things that came into my head was I'd completely forgotten until I started, thinking more about hot dish. Senator Al Franken in 2010, during the U.S. midterm elections, invited members of the Minnesota congressional delegation to a friendly hot dish making competition.
Interesting. I don't remember hearing about
Don't
this.
you?
I mean, I would have been like a teenager.
I thought this was
doing that.
super fun. 6 out of the 10 delegation members participated. Senators Franken and Klobuchar, Representatives Michelle Bachmann, Tim Walz, Keith Ellison, and Betty McCollum participated. Klobuchar took first place with her taconite tater tot hot dish, and Walz took second with his chicken mushroom wild rice hot dish. That competition still happens.
Oh.
So in 2019, Betty McCollum, it didn't last year because,
Sure.
Right, yeah.
the C word.
Yeah.
Betty McCollum won in 2019 with Hot Dish Among Friends.
Oh, nice.
Very good wordplay. There were a couple others. A few years ago, Tim Walz did Turkey Taco Tot Hot Dish. He also did Turkey Trot Tater Tot.
Turkey trot.
He also did Herman the German hot dish.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh gosh, there was one other one. Al Franken did Mom's how do you say it? I can't pronounce this city. Monoman?
Yeah,
Monoman.
Yeah, Monoman.
Mom's Monoman Madness hot dish.
That's up north.
And then there's some other ones that are like really gross names that came out of this research. The ketchup surprise hot dish.
Oh.
Back of the refrigerator hot dish.
Ew.
Turkey wiener doodah hot dish. Organ meat cashew hot dish.
Oh,
Organ
delicious.
meat.
Gobble it up Minnesota hot dish.
Well, that's not bad.
I'd like to know what suspend the rules and pass the hot dish is. 'Cause that's a name.
Suspend the rules and pass the hot dish.
Drop it like it's hot dish.
Excellent.
That's good.
I thought that was pretty good. I also have a few published recipes from the First Lutheran Church, Albert Lee, that somewhere between the 1940s and 1960s. This one I don't understand at all. Tuna fish hot dish. 1 can tuna fish. 1.5 cups small peas. 4 chopped hard-boiled eggs. White sauce. Mix all ingredients together and add a medium white sauce.
Okay.
Top with crumbs or crushed flake cereal. What's white sauce?
Any of the white sauce.
Isn't that like...
That's
like fettuccine?
I thought of Alfredo
Yeah,
and
I
I'm
thought it was
thinking,
something like that.
ew.
That was what I assumed. It was something like that.
Yeah.
Do they not put like noodles or something
Right?
in
That's
there?
what I'm wanting in that.
No.
Don't most hot dishes have some sort
Well,
of...
there's supposed to be, yes, a starch.
A starch, yeah.
So I'm feeling like that doesn't qualify then.
Disqualified.
But I'm not going to tell the ladies at the First Lutheran Church
Oh, no.
of Albert Lee that that's a disqualification.
Where are the noodles?
I just, it's crazy. Here's one that's got ground beef, onion, green pepper, tomato soup, water, cream style corn, chow mein noodles, grated cheese.
Interesting.
Ugh.
Okay.
It does
There's that XY
tick
factor.
the boxes of noodles, I guess.
It had to have a vegetable, though, too.
Yep, it was
Yes.
a starch,
Okay.
protein, and vegetable.
Because growing up, the only thing we had the same dish was called hot dish, but it was hamburger helper.
That
Like,
technically, if you put like a vegetable in there, that would actually probably count.
it would count. Yeah, but we didn't.
Like if you put
do
like
that.
corn or something in there.
And my brother Michael loved Hotdish, and so somebody asked one time, what's this person's favorite meal? And I was like, oh, it's Hotdish. And they said, okay, which one? And I was like, it's the only one I know. Like, what do you mean?
Oh, boy, are you about to find
right?
out.
That was when Hotdish opened up.
I guess I never thought of Hamburger Helper as being a hot dish. I always thought of it just as
Or,
Hamburger Helper.
or
yeah.
it could even be considered like a hot dish supplement.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, yes.
It's the
I would.
the easy version of hot dish because
I was-
it's just so hard.
I was gonna
Right.
say maybe it's the meat and potatoes, but it's actually the meat and the noodle.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you don't take noodles and you put potatoes instead.
For some
Oh
reason.
my gosh.
A starch. It's the meat and starch.
I can't imagine hot dish without noodles though. That's how I grew
Yeah.
up. Is all the hot dishes I had as a kid, there was at least some sort of noodles
Yeah,
in there.
almost always, right?
Yeah.
The best kinds do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just was fascinated. I did not know that it was a term coined here in Minnesota. I like that.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
love that the congressional district has
They
a
do.
contest.
That is
That's-
so
that's
unequivocally
fun.
Minnesotan. I love
Isn't
that.
it?
Yes.
It's really a fun one.
Yeah.
You suppose they serve anything with their hot dish?
Maybe some Lefse.
I don't know.
Also a Minnesotan thing.
See, very Minnesotan. You said hot dish, and then I pretty quickly, I feel like I said Lefse.
It took you like 2 seconds.
Yeah. And that is because it's a very Minnesotan thing in my mind, because I only ever had it when I visited Minnesota as a kid.
Because she's a Hoosier.
I am a Hoosier. But it's... Okay, I'm going to tell you Freeborn County stuff, and then I'm going to talk to you about kind of Lefse in general, too. But I feel like I had to give a shout out to the Sons and Daughters of Norway. It used to be the Sons and Daughters. Now we just call it the Sons of Norway. But in 1908, they had a hall, like a kind of get-together. They had a midwinter festival thing in 1908, January. And following the program, a genuine Norwegian supper consisting of lutefisk and lefse and other Norwegian delicacies were to be served. And it was 50 cents to get your meal.
Never thought of lutefisk as
Lutefisk.
a delicacy.
I've never had it, so I don't know.
You should try. You really do need to go to a
to.
lutefisk feed. They call it a feed
Dinner.
dinner and really just try it.
All right.
Just
Yeah. My brother Michael loves it. Just
not
a little bit of
not
it.
the slab. Just go
Just a
for a
little
nibble.
And before that, in 1906, there was a ladies' tea and coffee parlor that opened up in Freeborn County in Albert Lea. It was the Narveson Parlor. And there was an announcement in the paper that goes like this. Miss Narveson makes the pleasing announcement that she will open to the public her unique and pleasing tea and coffee parlor next Saturday, March 31st. And she is confident that it will be especially appreciated by the ladies and that gentlemen as well will enjoy partaking frequently of the appetizing lunches which she will serve. Every visitor will be presented with a delicious little souvenir on opening day. It will be her aim to make the parlor a delight to every guest. Among other things, fish will be served in the latest style sandwiches that will meet the approval of the fastidious, and some old-fashioned Scandinavian dishes, prepared by an expert caterer, will surely be enjoyed by those acquainted with their merits. Among the latter will be the following, and I apologize for my pronunciation of these. Krumkager, Fattigmangskakets, Sandkager, Sprutkakets, Tart, Bjorn Axlov, Lefse, Gendost, and Norsk Smørbrød. Remember the opening next Saturday. All are cordially invited, ladies and gentlemen, and the young folks too.
Oh, they even included the young
The
folks.
young folks too.
I'm
That was
stuck on fish
announcement.
sandwiches.
Yeah.
Is it like tuna fish?
I don't
Is it
know.
lutefisk salad? Is it
But it was the latest style in 1906, apparently.
interesting? Yeah.
We'll all find out together.
Right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh.
And there's a cookbook that we have in collection that's called More Than a Cookbook in memory of Lena and Theodore Bell. And it was created about 1987, but the family has a little bit of their genealogy in there that goes back before 1906 as well. The first 10 recipes in this book are all different lefse.
What's the difference? Like, just give an example. What's the difference between a couple?
Let me get one. So we've got, the first one is 10 pounds russet potatoes, 2 tablespoons salt, half a cup melted butter or margarine, half a cup hot milk, 3 to 4 cups of flour. And then another one is 3 cups mashed potatoes, half a cup salt, and 3 tablespoons of butter. So it's all like different measurements, I'm guessing, of the different, and leaving certain things out. But I was kind of mad when I went through this because there's 10 of these in here, and all of them have potatoes. Okay, my family doesn't do lefse with potatoes.
Well, your family isn't maybe as Norwegian as my family.
Actually, if you go back in time, the traditional way of making lefse is without potatoes.
Seriously?
They made lefse before potatoes were introduced to Norway.
So why did they introduce potatoes to lefse?
So I'm going to give that to you because I don't know how I'm going to give it to you first, but
suck it to me, baby.
Suck it to you. So, like, over 250 years ago was when potatoes were introduced, but before that, they didn't have it, and they added potatoes to it because lefse was kind of a way of preserving those foods so that you could store them. You could freeze lefse easier than you could freeze the potato or the wheat. But most Scandinavians here in the Midwest especially think all lefse is potatoes.
Yeah.
It's almost unheard of to have just flour lefse, as like my family does. But that's because coming over to America, most of the American Norwegians had potatoes more readily available to them. That was something that was easier to grow here.
It's interesting because, like, I'm 4th generation, and potatoes it goes back to my great-grandparents who came from Norway.
Yeah.
With potato in their
potato.
lefse.
Yeah. But there's a whole bunch of variations of lefse. And Norwegians actually tend to mostly use egg yolks and buttermilk instead in Norway today.
I think my mom used buttermilk and potato.
Oh, both of those instead of the egg.
Buttermilk also. We always had buttermilk around lefse making time.
Sure. Well, also in Norway, less people are making it and more people are buying it now, too.
It doesn't taste the same, no.
That's true. Yeah. But also, when Norwegian immigrants first arrived in America, they did not have the usual foods that they did back home, including the same kind of milk and porridge or dried meat and lefse. But they brought folded lefse to eat for the beginning stages of their journey. And after they ate that, the lack of food they were used to is likely why they turned back to lefse so quickly, because it was something that was easily preserved. And so it was a good thing to have, like, on farm life and living out in the country area. During World War I, Americans were encouraged to eat potatoes and be patriotic. And as wheat was needed to feed the troops on the front lines, lefse, potato-specific lefse, was eaten more in gusto at the time of World War I.
At World War I and food, man.
Time. But there's a tin, or like a tin lefse is what it's called. It's a very thin lefse, and it's rolled up with butter, sugar, and cinnamon, which I think that's kind of what a lot of people do with potato lefse too. And there's a whole bunch of different variations, and as I go down, it goes to potet lefse, or potato lefse.
Potet.
Which is similar to that tin lefse, but made with potatoes. And Hardanger lefse is a very popular one in Norway. It's made from yeast-risen gram flour, or fine ground whole wheat flour. It's often made with egg yolks and buttermilk instead of potatoes. But it's still rolled with the conventional rolling pin, and it's usually thinner than potato lefse. Potato sometimes has that kind of like thicker, bit to it.
I do know a gal who can roll a potato lefse.
Oh, yeah?
Where you can almost see through it.
Ooh,
It's so
that's
good.
nice.
Audrey.
Did you know the world's largest lefse was in the town of Starbuck, Minnesota?
I did not.
Of course, Minnesota
It was-
did that.
Right, July 1st, 1983.
Wow. And
Yeah.
how large was it?
I did not find that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How do they know it's the
I
largest?
don't know. I don't know how they can measure maybe somebody made the next largest. Yeah.
That's interesting.
There's also rumors surrounding the initial...
I found
Reggie's
it.
got it. Reggie's got it.
On July 1st, 1983, the world's largest lefse was born. The people of Starbuck, Minnesota gathered to witness this amazing feat and were rewarded with a bite of the giant lefse. It wound up being 9 feet 8 inches in diameter.
Wow.
Wow,
That's a
9
big lef-
feet.
How would
9
you,
feet.
How would you do that? Because you're supposed to... Aren't you supposed to
Right?
flip lefse?
Yeah, you have to flip it.
How do you flip a 9-foot lefse?
Teamwork, I guess.
Oh my
I don't know.
gosh.
Yeah.
Teamwork. There's some rumors around lefse too, and that is the initial use of lefse. There's claims by Norwegian Americans that it was made and used to sustain the Vikings. But potatoes were not introduced to Norway until long after the Vikings' time. So it would have been flour lefse, not potato lefse for the Vikings. And there's also, lefse has been said to be so tasteless that many mistakenly eat the paper doily under the stack and do not know the difference.
Well, that's not true.
I know, I love lefse.
I do, too.
It's so Christmas, but that's a very American thing, is to have it on Christmas too. Yeah.
Interesting.
I asked Linda if she could find me anything that talks about flour lefse in this like neck of the woods, because, you know, again, that's my family, and anytime I bring up lefse and I say
everybody
it's not potatoes, they're like, it's obviously potatoes, you're not doing it right. I'm like, no, this was my great grandma.
Right.
She was very Norwegian.
Well, but my great-great-grandma was very Norwegian, and
And she did
potatoes.
potato.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all
But it's not
on what the
only
family
potatoes.
does. It's
Yeah.
all in what the family does, right?
Yeah.
That's how we get our traditions.
Right.
We got a baking theme going
Mm-hmm.
here. There's another treat. It's not Norwegian.
Oh.
It is Czech.
Ooh.
And I have been corrected multiple times on how to say this. So
Oh,
there's two
yeah.
pronunciations I'm told are correct. Kolachis and Kolackis. I think it's Kolacky, but anyway.
Yeah.
So that's a Czech pastry made of a yeast dough, and it's usually filled with fruit, although sometimes you can fill them with cheese. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like these were first, when I went back, it looked like the first mention of this in the U.S. goes back to Texas,
Oh,
where
okay.
the Czechs settled. Who knew?
Huh, I didn't know that.
But Freeborn County had a sizable Czech population. In fact, our first and only, soon to not be the case, Uncorking History
Oh, yeah.
was on the Czech dance hall.
Yeah.
And a crime that happened there. There is a woman, Marie Krikava. I don't know if I said that right.
Krikova?
Krikova, maybe. Yeah, I threw a little, I don't know what I threw in there. Who, for decades with her husband Alton, baked thousands of Czech pastries to support community celebrations around Glenville. She was not of Czech descent. Throughout her married life, she became immersed in Czech culinary and cultural matters. And she and her husband were basically caretakers for, sorry, I'm going the wrong way, folks. Basically caretakers for the Brick Hall, which was the Czech community hall between Myrtle and Hayward. And they did the maintenance and the upkeep. As a young bride, she was taught the art of baking kolaches by a neighbor who believed, to be a good Czech wife, I had to know how to make kolaches. Marie told a reporter in a 2011 interview, it was a lesson she learned well, and her reputation as the kolache lady was born.
Ooh.
Ann Burkhart, the former food editor for the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, ran a feature article on Marie's baking in 1997 and included her recipe in her book, A Cook's Tour of Minnesota. So she's out there, that's actually something you can purchase at the Minnesota Historical Society too.
Sure.
It actually be fun to have one of them in our
library
museum store. Was where I was.
that too. Yeah.
But the library also. There might be one in the library. We've got a plethora of
we do.
cookbooks, both local and Minnesota, statewide.
Regional.
So this goes on to say, being a good Czech farm wife involved much more than just baking. For many years, the family tended thousands of layer hens, and Marie was in charge of the egg production operation. She kept the books for the farm, was a true partner in its operation and success. She planted a large garden every spring, growing much of the family's vegetables and canning and freezing the harvest for family meals during the winter months. She kept gardening into her 80s until she no longer had the stamina to do the work. A few miles east of the how'd you say the last name? Krikova? I got a brain block there for some reason. Krikova Farm stands a local Czech landmark for the Bohemian Brick Hall, which I believe the Bohemian Brick Hall is actually where that crime took place for Uncorking History.
In the hall?
Well, that's where it started. The fight started.
Hall,
that was around the hall. And there is we're investigating this, but I believe the ad curtain that we have in the red shed, which is huge, is actually from the Bohemian Brick Hall. Linda is, I think, looking into that for me.
Cool.
The hall was built in 1909 as a meeting place for weddings and community events. The facility continues to be operated, this was as of 2018, by the Tsar Zupudu Lodge, number 44, affiliated with Western Fraternal Life. Marie's involvement began with the hall by baking the kolackys to support events, but eventually she was recruited to serve as the treasurer. And in 2013, she was honored with its National Fraternalist of the Year award. And I thought that was just a really cool... She was German.
Yeah.
But she was a Czech at heart, right?
She Czech by marriage.
It. Well, she really embraced it, though, and took ownership of it. There is also, on a side note, a meat version called klobasnek.
Okay.
A roll made of sweet spun dough, often filled with a klobasa or other meat fillings. So now I'm curious.
Like a bun, kind of almost? Like a bun filled with meat?
And it's wrapped in there. So
that
you get like a little...
really good.
Does sound good, doesn't it?
I want that now.
Sorry.
This whole episode is making me hungry.
So much food.
I know.
So much food?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You betcha.
For sure.
Don't you know?
Sometimes. Then I went to Bakeries because I have been thinking for a while, we need to have a bakery, which Trumbull's 2.0 is open now, and I got to go try their baking goods.
I saw some photos this morning of people posting what they bought. It looked yummy.
Ooh. So I decided to look into the bakeries and other things that we've had here in Freeborn County. We have a Albert Lee Baking Co. crate that's in our general store.
It's one of my favorite things.
It's cool.
I would love to have that in my house. It is fantastic. It's big.
It is big. It's neat looking. It's got a cover.
Like 2.5 feet high.
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
Probably 3 feet wide and 2.5 feet deep.
Yeah, I'd say that's about right.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. That was a company here in Albert Lee, and I couldn't quite find the origin time of it, but it was up through the 30s, and in 1934 they had an advertisement after they moved sites, and so the newspaper had it crossed out and then handwritten in where they moved to. So they were at 118.
So wait. The newspaper published that?
Yeah.
I love it.
And they were at 118 South Broadway, and then they switched to 106 South Broadway in 1934 area. And they had Saturday specials, which was French donuts at 30 cents a dozen.
Ooh.
Cream puffs, cream rolls, apple turnovers, Boston cream pies, coffee cakes. Also, it was their last day for hot cross buns.
Hot cross bun.
I love
Hot cross
cream
buns.
puffs.
But it wasn't 1 a penny.
What about 2 a penny?
Not even 3 a penny.
Oh, wow.
It was extra special, a dozen for 20 cents.
Extra special.
Yeah, extra special. Yeah.
Yeah. You get the yas
I
going.
do. That happens
So
sometimes.
if you average that out, that actually would be somewhere between 1 a penny and 2 a penny.
At least it's not 3 a penny, though.
Right.
But it was C.W. McDermott, who is the guy who started it. He passed at Navy Hospital in 1946 after he had been in some poor health for a while. But they were in business there for 38 years. So I guess I did have the dates there. What would that be? That would be 1908.
This is Risha and Reggie, or Stephanie and Reggie watching Risha do math.
I just realized I think I did the math wrong on the 1 a penny, 2 a penny, but I was just going to cut it out later.
He was born in Webster City, Iowa, and ended up moving up here, played a prominent part in the city's civic and fraternal affairs as a member of Elks Lodge, Country Club, Chamber of Commerce, and other organizations. He was also an ardent baseball fan, and I feel like baseball just keeps coming up in a lot of these like mid 1900s talks here. But there was also something that they put in the paper kind of close to his obituary, and it stated, "In appreciation, we want to thank the faithful friends who contributed to the success of Albert Lee Bakery in past years. Owing to the death of McDermott and the sale of the building, we must discontinue. Again, we thank you, Mrs. McDermott and family." So it sounds like they closed down. Mm-hmm. But then in that same year, they talked about the Albert Lee Baking Company and the building being purchased by a Don L. Rotter of Brainerd and Wayne Woodruff
Brainerd?
Of where?
of Brainerd. Did I say it weird?
You did.
Really weird.
Oh,
Brainerd.
Brainerd. I've been through there. And Wayne Woodruff of Minneapolis. And I think it's kind of funny that they put this in the article. They say both are ex-servicemen, Mr. Rotter having been in the Air Service and Mr. Woodruff in the Navy. Both are experienced in the bakery business, having been associated with a father in the Park Region Bakery at Brainerd. And then right after that, I think it might have been a couple of days later, they also put at the bottom there, both the new proprietors are married. Mr. Rotter plans to make his home at Bridge Avenue, and Mr. Woodruff is still looking for a home. I just thought it was kind of funny that they were like, these are ex-servicemen, but guys, they're married. I don't know if they got like any kind of.
Oh my God, they were roommates.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I'm going to guess. This is just a guess, but ex-servicemen, by saying that, probably people were encouraged to go purchase. You would visit
sure.
because of the pride that military had at that time.
Yeah.
Sure.
I thought you were going to say it was weird that they're saying where they were going to live.
Oh, that's
again,
true too.
That's if you aren't. This is true, I think, for almost any small town, city, whatever, wherever you go in the U.S. People want to know if you own a business here that you're living here.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Later, about 20 years after that, Brownie's Bake Shop consolidated with the Albert Lee Bakery. So they combined, and the Brownie's Bake Shop was their own shop in the 1940s. It was owned by a Mr. and Mrs. Brown. So it was brownies. I thought that was super cute. They were both immigrants from Scotland, and it was Hugh Brown and his wife, I think it's Fran. I'm guessing it was Fran.
Did they have
have to
Scottish
look.
treats at Brownie's Bakery?
I don't know. I didn't see any of the ones that they had at the bakery. They had brownies. I tell you that. We have some photos of them with like donuts and stuff.
Ooh.
But yep, Ferna, not Fran. Ferna is her name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, the yas. You're gonna have to start counting them.
You're at like 421.
That's so accurate. Yeah.
Did they serve popcorn at this bakery?
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. I hope not.